The red and blue lights flashed in Keisha Washington's rearview mirror as she pulled her aging Honda Civic to the shoulder of Highway 45. It was 11:30 p.m., and she was just trying to get home from her double shift at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her license and registration, not from guilt, but from the familiar fear that had been passed down through generations of her family. "License and registration," Officer Martinez said curtly as he approached her window, his hand resting on his service weapon. "Yes, sir, I have them right here," Keisha replied, moving slowly and deliberately as she'd been taught since childhood. "I'm reaching for my purse now." Behind Martinez, Officer Johnson emerged from the passenger side of the patrol car, circling around to the other side of Keisha's vehicle. The traffic stop had been called in as suspicious vehicle, a black woman driving through an affluent neighborhood at night. "Step out of the vehicle, ma'am," Martinez commanded. "May I ask why?" "I wasn't speeding, and my registration is current," Keisha said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Step out of the vehicle now." Johnson shouted from the passenger side. As Keisha began to comply, her phone, which had been recording the entire encounter, slipped from her lap onto the car floor. When she bent to retrieve it, Johnson screamed, "Gun!" The first shot shattered her passenger window. Keisha dove to the ground as bullets tore through the air where she'd been standing moments before. Her military training from 2 tours in Afghanistan kicked in as she rolled behind her car's engine block. "Stop shooting," she yelled. "I'm unarmed. I'm a veteran." But the gunfire continued. 7 shots in total. In the chaos, Keisha saw muzzle flashes coming from both sides of her vehicle. They weren't trying to arrest her, they were trying to execute her. Keisha had a concealed carry permit. Her service weapon from her army days was locked in a case in her trunk, legally transported. In a split-second decision that would change everything, she made a choice no one should have to make. She shot back. Her first shot was a warning, fired high into the air. "I'm armed and I'm a veteran." "Stop shooting," she screamed. The officers didn't stop. They reloaded and continued firing. Keisha's next 2 shots were precise, hitting Martinez in the shoulder and Johnson in the leg. Her military training had taught her to neutralize threats, not to kill. Both officers went down, and the gunfire finally stopped. In the sudden silence, Keisha kept her weapon trained on the officers as she called 911 with her free hand. "This is Keisha Washington. I'm a nurse and Army veteran. 2 police officers just opened fire on me during a traffic stop on Highway 45. I've returned fire in self-defense. Both officers are wounded but alive. I need backup officers and ambulances immediately." Within minutes, the scene was swarming with police cars, ambulances, and news crews. The dashcam footage from the patrol car would later show that Keisha had never reached for a weapon, never made any threatening moves. Her phone had recorded the entire encounter, including the officer's unprovoked gunfire. The case would become a landmark in discussions about police brutality and self-defense. District Attorney Sarah Chin reviewed all the evidence, the dashcam footage, Keisha's phone recording, ballistics reports, and witness statements from passing motorists who had called 911. "The evidence is clear," DHN announced at a press conference 2 weeks later. Ms. Washington was the victim of an unprovoked attack. She acted within her legal right to defend herself against what she reasonably believed to be an imminent threat to her life. No charges were filed against Keisha Washington. Officers Martinez and Johnson faced charges of assault with a deadly weapon and attempted murder. The incident sparked nationwide protests and renewed calls for police reform. Keisha, who had dedicated her life to saving lives both as a soldier and as a nurse, found herself at the center of a movement she never wanted to join. "I didn't want to shoot anyone," she said in her only public statement. "I've spent my entire adult life protecting people, protecting this country overseas and protecting patients at home. All I wanted was to get home safely from work. The fact that I had to defend my life against the people who are supposed to protect it shows how broken our system really is." The case would be studied in police academies and law schools for years to come, a stark reminder that the right to self-defense doesn't disappear just because the attacker wears a badge. But for Keisha Washington, no amount of vindication could erase the trauma of that night when a routine traffic stop became a fight for her life. 6 months later, she still drove the long way home from work, avoiding Highway 45 altogether. The sound of sirens made her hands shake, and she'd moved to a different city, hoping to find some peace. Justice had been served, but healing would take much longer. The incident changed her forever, but it also changed the conversation about police accountability in America. Sometimes, Keisha reflected, the most important battles are the ones you never wanted to fight.